Hey, welcome back to the Robo Show. This is Chad Robichaux. Have a returning guest today, Eric Stoffers, who's the founder and CEO of BioXcellerator. You know, the one of the leaders in the world when it comes to stem cell technology, stem cell treatments for veterans, athletes, and just people all different kind of ailments. And I just really enjoyed our last conversation and want to learn more. Today we're going to have Frank Mir on with us, two-time UFC champion, and Frank, we'll have to do it again later. Frank's one of the athletes that goes down to see Eric and his team down in Colombia, and so it'll just be Eric and I today, and I'm sure we'll have a lot to talk about because I still have a ton of questions. So good to have you on, Eric.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me again, Chad.
Is the weather still 70 degrees and perfect down in Colombia?
Yeah, I'm a little bit of a bragger in that sense, but yes, it is. I live in Arizona, in Phoenix most of the time, and I am so blessed to be able to get out of there in the summertime. So yeah, it's in Medellin, Colombia. It's 72 to 76 or 78 degrees all year round. It's amazing.
Yeah, I was just telling my wife that the other day. I'm like, it doesn't matter when we go. When I go there, it's going to be good weather. So, um, well, yeah, bummed that we didn't get Frank on today. We'll get Frank back on. But I think there's plenty you and I could talk about. I've been, after meeting you and learning more, about BioXcellerator and the technology that you guys, or the science that you guys have really offer. I'm just really open minded, and I plan on personally, going down with you guys and getting the treatments myself. I look forward to doing that, and when I do it, for those listening, when I go down there, I plan on documenting it so you guys can see what it looks like, from traveling down there. Just give you guys a full spectrum of what it looks like to go down. And so we're scheduling that now. But Eric, for those who hadn't heard you in the previous episode, can you just give a quick overview of BioXcellerator yourself and what you guys offer?
Yeah, absolutely. And, I agree. I think Frank would be a good addition. He's been gracious with his time. He's been an excellent patient. He's coming down again soon too. So I look forward to joining him again. But, either way, to give your patients or I'm sorry, your audience a little bit of background, I'm Eric Stoffers. I'm the founder and CEO of BioXcellerator. BioXcellerator is an advanced stem cell company. We are a US based company, but we are located, our main treatment facility is located in Medellin, Colombia. I pronounce it that way because that's the way the locals say it, but most people would know it as Medellin, Colombia, which is a beautiful city, not anything like you'd see on Narcos or on Netflix these days. So don't be afraid of it. It's actually a really cool vacation destination. But we're here because the regulations in Colombia happen to be much more favorable, not deregulation. It's actually a lot of regulation here. I would compare it very closely to the FDA and how stringent they are, but they have better regulations for advanced stem cell therapy. There's ranges of stem cell therapy, and you see people marketing it just as stem cell, but there's really big ranges. And what you see in the United States is what we would consider to be low-level stem cell science. And so for us to produce and administer the best results and the highest level of technology, we had to come to Colombia. So that's where we are. I'm a business guy. I'm not a doctor or scientist, so I'll talk in very basic terms, when you ask scientific questions or medical questions. But what we do is we apply the highest level of stem cell science to patients that are suffering from a range of issues, a lot of chronic pain, a lot of orthopedic injuries. That's why so many professional athletes have chosen to come to us and have us be their provider. We also treat neurological conditions. We specialize in treating veterans, for traumatic brain injury and things like CTE. And we also treat some autoimmune disease, and then spinal cord injuries and spine and disc are probably one of our specialties. So that's kind of us in a nutshell.
Yeah, I've seen so many amazing testimonials, and I guess because I feel like I'm just learning. Even all the research I've done, I feel like I'm just learning now. When we say stem cell therapy, what is stem cell therapy? What it is, what it's not. What are some of the things that people uh, are confused about? I mean, I like I said, when I first got into learning about it, it's completely different than what I thought it was.
Yeah, I'm glad you what are people confused about, because one of the first things that comes up in our conversation is is this embryonic? Is there any ethical concern? And the simple answer is no, absolutely not. Our company doesn't do that. Most good companies in our space don't mess around with embryonic stem cells any longer. And that was something that happened, a couple of decades ago when the science in this field was very young and experimental. But now, we have transitioned into, quite frankly, better, more effective cells. What our company does is we focus on the mesenchymal stem cell. Some scientists in other parts of the world would call it mesenchymal stem cell. But either way, the mesenchymal stem cell is one of the most pure and effective and potent stem cells that is an adult stem cell. So it's not an embryonic stem cell. We source it from healthy mothers and healthy babies that donate the healthy cord, the umbilical cord, to scientific companies like ours, so that we can help hundreds and potentially thousands of people with just one cord. So there's no ethical concern to it, but essentially, to back to your question, is what the stem cell therapy does is it takes that potent and pure and effective stem cell from the umbilical cord, and through some very high level scientific work, we're able to advance those cells and obviously test them for safety and make sure they're, again, the most safe and then also the most pure and effective cell. And then we apply them to patients that are suffering from a whole wide range of diseases that I kind of listed before. And that's what it is in a nutshell.
Is it like injected through a syringe that's on like at the point of injury or point of treatment, or is it intravenously, or is there both? Here in the States, I did both, but I know it's a lot different there. Maybe is the process different, or is just the potency is different?
A little bit of both. So our process is different because we are able to advance and what we call culture expand the stem cells. And so we turn them from, maybe thousands of stem cells into hundreds of millions of potent and pure stem cells. And that helps with the potency because of the multiplication process. So the process here is probably much different than you would see in the States. Again, they're only able to do a very low level science there, which isn't expansion and multiplication. But aside from that, the application would be probably similar to what you're describing, where we have either a sports medicine doctor or one of our orthopedic surgeons, or in the case of our spine and disc treatments, it would be our neurosurgeon. But the point is that we would have one of our physicians, our specialists, apply the cells both locally. So that means in the site of injury. If you're getting a shoulder, they would put it in the shoulder and interarticular or intermuscular application. If we were doing a neurological condition, it would be an intrathecal application from our neurosurgeon. We have a lot of people that do face and hair applications for vanity and aesthetics. So those would be intradermal applications, all by specialists. And then we would also do an IV application, which is, just a simple needle poke, like you probably had 100 times at the doctor. And that would be a systemic treatment where you would have hundreds of millions of stem cells flowing through your body for a whole host of medicinal reasons.
Yeah, it's one of the things that obviously, what I do in the realm of Mighty Oaks Foundation, we deal with helping veterans from a kind of a more of a mentorship standpoint. We're a faith-based program, so we really utilize faith-based principles to say, hey, this is a kind of model which we believe you should live, and regardless of what happened to you physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, you have the ability to make better choices moving forward. So we kind of mentor them in a decision making and help them live better lives that way. And while we believe that's one of the most effective ways, because the most foundational thing we believe is, if you make a good choice in your life, you have a strong spiritual and moral foundation, you're going to be able to, have resiliency through hardships of life. But we don't discount the need to heal the body, the mind, all those things. And many of the warriors and veterans that we help and first responders we help at Mighty Oaks, we help them on those levels, those emotional and spiritual levels and the decision-making levels, but their bodies are still, wrecked. I mean, they've had serious injuries, some amputees, and some people with, their backs are blown out, and TBIs, traumatic brain injuries, all those things. So for me, I'm always looking for other ways to help improve myself and then the veterans that I care for at Mighty Oaks. For me, I broke my neck in Afghanistan. I've tore both my shoulders up pretty bad, and both in the military and as an athlete. shoot, just this last trip, right before I left, 3 days before I left to go to Afghanistan for this evacuation thing, I snapped my longus muscle off my groin, and so I totally detached the muscle. So I'm always getting banged up. I'm always looking for ways. So when it comes to, I know that veterans don't have a monopoly of banging up their bodies, but when you talk about veterans, some of the issues that veterans might have faced after 20 years of combat, what are some of the things specifically that you believe BioXcellerator could do that's unique and specific for the veterans community?
Well, first, to comment off of what you were just mentioning, it's very important for us to also be in a great mental and spiritual and maybe an enlightened or stress-free state before therapy. So this is something that sets our company apart, besides some of the things that I'm sure I'll talk about relating specifically to the science and treatment. But a lot of other organizations in our space are scientific organizations, and that's what we are. We work with PhDs in the laboratory that are, very high level scientists in microbiology or protein bacteriology or whatever it is. But they're scientists, and so they're very rigid. But our company, we take a holistic approach, and that's mind, body, soul, and all sorts of other alternatives. So we take that approach, which is more integrative and holistic. So I love that to hear you say that, and this is why we also really like to partner with great organizations and foundations like Mighty Oaks and others, because that is important to us, and that's part of our screening process for patients. We're very protective of getting the best results possible, and that's stem cell. The stem cell is a big component of what we do, of course, but it has to be a holistic approach as well. So anyway, that's my comment about what you said. So I'm really pleased to hear you say that. But to your question, the veterans that come in to see us are suffering from a wide range of issues. Most of them start orthopedic in nature, so they're getting banged up, just like you said. There's torn ligaments, or even worse when they're seeing combat and getting blown up. That's a veteran term, not mine. I have vets that use that term, so I'm sorry if that offends anybody, but it's the truth. We have guys in here, right? I mean, this is just kind of what you guys say. And so, guys like, I don't know if you've followed us or the story of Crispy, who was, that's his nickname, right? But he's got, over 80% of his body burned. He's got, lost limbs and that kind of thing. So, and that's not a unique story for us. So the orthopedic injuries are what we start with. But what we find is that a lot of times with the multiple concussions that these veterans are seeing, and even if they're not in combat, just the multiple concussions that they get from practicing, either with big mortars or even, big caliber weapons, that takes a toll on the body and the mind. And, it starts mimicking PTSD, even if it's not PTSD. So, when you're looking at people that have multiple concussions, which is mild traumatic brain injury, that starts a spiral of other, unfortunate symptoms or indications that turn into things that mimic autoimmune disease. And so it becomes the chicken or the egg sometimes. Do we get these guys back to a better brain health? Is that the first, or do we have to alleviate them from some chronic pain to get them into the better brain health where they can focus on, some of the other ailments? So that's what we see a lot of.
All right, guys, I want you to visit saveourallies.org. What Save Our Allies is, it's an effort to rescue Americans and our allies that are still stuck in Afghanistan after the United States pullout. It began with me going to get my friend and his family, and it ended after me and 12 of my friends went there. It ended 10 days later, where we ultimately got 12,000 people out. The mission continues. We're going to continue to rescue people. And we're going to make sure that these people go from the home they lost to a new home and a new beginning with a new sense of hope. We need to support this effort. We need your help. SaveOurAllies.org. And that it sounds like that, what you're talking about when you talk about veterans having concussions, multiple concussions, which I don't even, my poor head from the years of in the military. But I mean, that kind of carries over to MMA, right? You got so many athletes that go to, I think the UFC, I don't know if the UFC directly sends people to BioXcellerator, but you have a lot of UFC fighters down there who are, every day in sparring, and then these big fights, they're essentially getting their, your brain rattled through concussions and in boxing and especially in the big fights. I know you guys got Henry Cahuto's down there, Joe's
Jose Masvidal.
Masvidal. Yeah, Masvidal's down there. Uh, he says it's super necessary. It's his, but yeah, so you guys got some, pretty good staple athletes going down there. Uh, is that the same thing they're dealing with? They're dealing with both orthopedic and taking care of their brains.
Yeah, we see a very similar set of symptoms with our high impact athletes. It's not just UFC. I mean, we see a lot of NFL guys and people in and around every sport, quite honestly. But I would definitely say that UFC, if there's somebody that is fighting for the belt or in the top 10, they've probably been to our clinic. And even guys that are just coming up. So we don't have an official relationship with them, but yeah, we do we do affectionately have a relationship with the UFC in the sense that most of those guys are our patients, and once you're a patient, we call you BioX family, and that's forever for us, because we're always either following your progress or hoping the best for you from a result standpoint. But to answer your question, yeah, we're seeing a lot of orthopedic injuries, obviously a lot of wrists from all the punching every day, all sorts of knees and shoulders and most of the older guys, like, and they're not old, but just retired guys like Chuck Liddell, he talks about a lot where he was banged up everywhere, but he had, something that was nagging him more because it restricted his everyday life. And it was like his shoulders. He couldn't lift his arms, above even to shoulder length. And now he can put on a shirt without having somebody help him. And so we see things like that. But yeah, these guys all have multiple concussions. And so especially the guys that are educating themselves, finding out that we're one of the only clinics that maybe the only clinic that does the CTE type prevention treatment. And it's too soon to call it a treatment. It's really experimental. But it's the same way that we would treat traumatic brain injury that we know has great scientific worldwide evidence. So we would do an intrathecal application that helps the stem cells pass the blood-brain barrier. That helps reduce inflammation and promote healing and generate, and stimulate more cell growth. So yeah, we have a lot of athletes that are doing that.
So I think this is one of the things I learned most out of, I think, is that the word stem cell and stem cell therapy is kind of like a broad word that's misused, and people don't understand there's differences. And I'm starting to learn the differences. So, you have like prolozone therapy and PRP and intravenous like stem cell and all these different things that I only know a little bit about, but you have all these different treatments, but everybody kind of puts it under one term of stem cell. And so what you guys do at your clinic at BioXcellerator in Columbia is obviously much different than I would go down to my local chiropractor who just got the license at a 3-day clinic, 3-day conference, and now he's doing PRP stem cell treatment. What's the difference, and why is it? Why is it? I guess first question is, what's the difference between everything that's available here in the United States, all these people that are jumping on the bandwagon of this, and what you guys do, and what's the difference between what can be done in America and what can be done in Colombia?
Yeah, great question. And I think this, will also dovetail into a conversation about the FDA. But, right now the FDA is I think they're right in their approach that they're trying to clear out the field and educate consumers about what stem cell really is. And there's a lot of companies out there that are just marketing stem cell, and there's vastly different types of stem cells, to your point. So what you're seeing in the United States is typically, as I mentioned before, is what we would consider lower level stem cell science. And that's the extraction of bone marrow or adipose tissue. So they call it a BMAC treatment, or the adipose tissue is basically just fatty deposits on your body that you extract. So that's very painful. You either have to have, you get slashed open in a liposuction procedure, or a big, huge needle punctured through your iliac crest to suck out some of your bone marrow. So that, that part of the procedure isn't fun to begin with. But what you're really doing is you're okay. So you're there as a patient for a reason. You're probably chronic pain or suffering from something. You're taking these stem cells that aren't fixing the issue already, and you're taking them out of your body. So, in my case, it'd be 45-year-old stem cells that have been exposed to the environment that I've been exposed to my whole life. A lot of that is the food in the United States and, other way worse things. But, so you're taking those old cells that aren't already doing the job and you're not replicating them, you're just repurposing them. So, if you have a shoulder injury, I'm taking out a bunch of bone marrow from my hip, and then I'm repurposing them to my shoulder, which in our opinion, and it's not just our meaning BioXcellerator, but in scientific opinion, that's a low-level science. But it does have efficacy. There are patients that have low-level injuries that are able to find results from that. So there's nothing wrong with trying it. We are of the opinion that, we like to have the best results possible. Otherwise, we don't offer the treatment. So that's why we had to get pushed offshore, because the best results are with the best science. And that is just not able to be done on the US right now. So that's why we're in Colombia. But that's somewhat of the difference, between what they're saying are mesenchymal stem cells, which is partially true. But there's many other cells that are mixed in with the extraction of bone marrow and adipose tissue. And we're able to isolate those cells, expand those cells, multiply those cells, make them more pure, potent, and effective, and then target those cells and put them in a specific area for you. So,
yeah, like taking my blood out of my body, it's, 46-year-old toxic blood, been through it, as opposed to coming out of a umbilical cord. It's going to be brand new, healthy, at the peak of growth, right? That's kind of what I understood it seemed to be, like the peak of growth.
That's it.
I just had somebody explain to me, saying look at the growth of the brand new baby, like how fast the body grows. And it's kind of that.
Yeah, and I'll butcher the numbers, but the umbilical cell, that is, like you said, it's the pinnacle of regeneration. It's at the birthplace of regeneration. So look at how fast you not only grow, but look at how fast you heal as a youngster. When you sprang your ankle as a teenager, I was in sports, not anywhere to Frank's level, of course, but your coach, you sprang your ankle and he says, walk it off, Stoffers, get out there, and usually you could do it. You could walk it off. Maybe it'd take you to the next day to heal from it. Now at 45, I sprained my ankle. I can't go out for a jog.
Yeah.
So that's the stem cells at work.
Well, why is it why is the FDA not allowing this in the States as opposed to the way it's allowed in? I mean, I'm sort of a medical conspiracist, so I would believe, one of the things that I believe is that, the United States makes a lot of money off of people being injured, people being sick. The big pharmaceutical companies make a lot of money off people being injured, people being sick. And so healing people is not in the best interest of the pharmaceutical, big pharmaceutical companies. Is it tied to that, or is it just them dragging their feet? Is it what is the reason behind?
Yeah, I don't know that I could pinpoint one specific reason. I think it's multifaceted, but certainly, that is an aspect of what may be slowing down regulation. I think there's, over the history, there's been many pharmaceutical executives that have been in the FDA or in the reverse. Somehow, when they leave the FDA, they become high-powered executives in the pharmaceutical company. So there's a relationship there. I don't know that it's, you could put your finger on exactly what it is, but yeah, that's slowing things down. But what I'll say is that I'm not privy to the inner workings of the FDA, but they are a fantastic organization. For many respects, they're here to protect the American people. They've done a great job about protecting us over the decades, and they're the gold standard around the world. I do business internationally in the scientific world, and so I have many opportunities to talk to other leaders in other organizations that are like the FDA, and the FDA is a gold standard. But what I will say is that I don't think they are keeping caught up with how fast the technology has advanced. So, they may just be a little bit behind in this, in this regulation.
Yeah, I always lean towards the conspiracy side, but I look at like the Gerson Clinic, for example, for when you talk about cancer, you have chemotherapy over here, but then you go across the border to Tijuana and you can get the Gerson therapy, which is holistic, and they're not allowed to do that in the United States. And and I know two people, particularly at stage four cancer, and one of them bought their coffin, so the family wouldn't have to deal with that. Went down to Mexico to the Gerson Clinic, and it's cancer free, and would not have been able to do that in the United States. And so as always, like I said, my conspiracy mind kind of goes is they're making more money off of chemotherapy as opposed to having someone do coffee enemas, eat fruits and vegetables, and clean their system, and do a fruit and vegetable fast for 60 days and restore their body. I think the same thing's here with stem cell. I mean, man, there's a lot of money to be made off of replacing people's hips as opposed to going out and having some stem cell done the right way and regenerating the body its natural way. And so I hope that's not the case. And I hope there's good people in the VA look, I'm getting no conspiracies. I'm going right after the VA. I hope there's good people in FDA that are doing what's best for the people in this country and getting the best medical treatment possible. I have a fun question, but I'm actually curious myself, and I'm going to put myself out here. So you talked about the cosmetics behind it. I am 46. I'm losing my hair. I blame it on jiu-jitsu because I'm always on the mat and I'm like grappling and I'm rubbing my head on the ground and grinding with my head. I'm like, it's just falling out from jiu-jitsu, but actually it's stressing in age. But I know a lot of people, I have a lot of friends that are like my age now, and they're like either shaving their head or they're getting like hair transplants and stuff like that. And some of them, I have a buddy that's traveling down. I think he's going to Mexico and getting like the hair transplants. And then I seen here locally, there was a place like a kind of medical spa that did probably low science level stem cell stuff, giving shots in the follicles of the hair. What do you guys do stuff like that there?
Yeah. And you're still a good candidate. What I'll say is that, we have guys come in that are completely bald and shiny bald, meaning there's no follicle left, and they're not candidates for us at all. But no, you've got plenty of hair to work with. Yeah, we do that a lot, quite honestly. I mean, it's one of those things that we don't really market, and most of our patients are coming down for an orthopedic issue, and then they also, kind of under the table don't want to talk about it, but they're doing the face and the hair also. But yeah, the results are actually pretty remarkable. I will say with that, it's not a one and done. It's typically a commitment where you have to, and it might be 3 years apart or 5. It depends on the patient, but you're gonna be able to stimulate the hair follicles, which will show a lot of hair growth. But then, of course, as you age, that you're gonna have to repeat that treatment.
Got to go down to 70-degree weather and eat some good Colombian food every 3 years to get your hair done.
Yeah,
my wife gets her hair done all the time, so maybe I can start getting mine done.
Yeah, exactly. Sure.
Awesome, man. Anything else you want to cover? I mean, like I said, we didn't have Frank on. We'll get him back on. I look forward to getting down there. I would have already been down there if it wasn't for this Afghanistan thing. That became a priority to me to get down to Afghanistan and help these people. And but now that I'm back into that, I definitely plan on getting down to see you guys.
Yeah, good. I mean, no, look, we're here for whenever you're ready, but you're doing such good work. I followed you obviously, and I knew what you were doing, so I knew that's why you had to kind of jump off the schedule. So no worries. But no, yeah, we're excited to having you down and your wife or whoever else you're bringing, and as many people in your audience that we can help. We would love to extend the open arms greeting.
If somebody's listening and they're interested in getting some treatments or just interested in talking to someone about it, from what I know this from, you can go down there, spend a week down, spend a couple of days down. How could someone get that information? How could they talk to someone?
Yeah, the best way I would say is going to our website. We're BioXcellerator.com, and it's BioXcellerator. So BioXcellerator.com, there's a place where you can either call us, if you need a Spanish speaker or US English speaker, that's either way is fine. You can chat with us through the website. And then if you're looking to do some research before you get on the phone with us, we've got plenty of great testimonials either on our YouTube channel or on Instagram or any social media platform.
Yeah, do your research, guys. I mean, it's incredible. I mean, we're talking about kind of orthopedic and cosmetic stuff, but I mean, some life-changing stuff. I've seen, people with like, debilitating illnesses, kids that can't walk and that being able to walk again because of this, or, people with like Asperger's and things like that, or autism, are getting help from this. So it's pretty incredible stuff. Again, I look forward to going down there. BioXcellerator.com, Eric Stoffers. Hey, thanks, man. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, it's always good being here. Thanks again, Jack.
All right. Thanks for listening, guys.